So our vision is that every person who shows up to a Mighty Network feels like they have got their own hype squad behind them. So when you join, when you know, answer some questions so that we can help you build a profile page that just looks spectacular and that you feel good. Because again, if you think about it, like when you are confident and you walk into a party and you're like sitting up a little bit higher and you're like looking around and you're like, oh my God, like, first of all, I'm having a great hair day and I love my outfit. When you feel good, you're more likely to reach out to somebody and be like, hey, Deborah, nice to meet you. I'm Gina.
Welcome to Life After Corporate, your ultimate guide for making the leap from corporate leader to entrepreneur. I'm Deb Boulanger, entrepreneur, executive leader, and founder of the Launch Lab for Women Entrepreneurs. This is your time to break through the glass ceiling once and for all and get your ticket to the C-suite. Come back each week to get the leading strategies, advice, and tools that will give you the skills and confidence you need to replace your corporate paycheck. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of Life After Corporate, my friend. And if you're new to our show, welcome home. This is where we give new founders the basics of how to establish a coaching or consulting business that not only grows, but scales along with you. And this is part of our Community Builders series. And our guest today is Gina Bianchini, the queen of community. Gina is the founder and CEO of Mighty Networks. I happen to have met Gina last October, an event for women entrepreneurs, fangirled all over her because I'm a huge fan of Mighty Networks. And as a result of that conversation, we launched the Life After Corporate membership community in December. So I want to tell you a little bit about Gina and what makes Mighty Networks special before we dive into the interview. First of all, Mighty Networks is built on the premise that it is people connecting to each other that makes communities special. And in Mighty Networks, Gina calls this people magic. And people magic is actually advanced technology using AI that connects the most relevant and interesting people to each other. And she's helped others build these amazing scalable communities, including Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, Marie Forleo, Matthew Hussey, Mindbody, and so many others. And she has been covered in so many publications from Fast Company, Fortune, featured in the Wall Street Journal, Wired, Vanity Fair, you name it. Gina has been the pinnacle of what it takes to build effective communities online. So welcome to Life After Corporate, Gina Bianchini.
Thank you for having me. I'm like, I should have jumped on after you got through that because I sat here and I was like blushing a little bit. I was like, oh my gosh.
You are very, very special. And I remember using Mighty Networks probably early in 2020, probably 5 years ago. We had a course that we wanted to develop on the fly. And I think around that time, courses were new to Mighty. Is that correct?
Yes, that would be right.
So that was my early experience. And truthfully, we didn't stay, but we came back because what you're doing with People Magic is really special. So let's talk about that.
Sure. I will also say, Deborah, this is something, I think I said this to you when we met, and I will say this sort of to anybody anywhere, which is the most important thing that I care about is not whether you or anybody else uses Mighty Networks, but it's that you are building communities. And I celebrate anybody building communities, and I am on the team because there is no more important skill of this decade, the next decade, and all the decades after that.
Yeah, so true. And people are craving community right now. There's nothing like, challenges on the outside or what you say, transitions. So let's talk about what makes for a great community. And when you were speaking at the Create and Cultivate event, you talked about the difference between an audience and a community or a membership and how hosts need to behave and what makes communities truly sticky through People Magic.
Yeah. So lot of layers of that onion, and let's just tackle them. So I think what's so fun about community is that we are made for community. Things that are hard for us or feel impossible for us as human beings when we are by ourselves become not only possible, but expected when you are in a group and a community with other people who are on that same path. And because of this, I have been obsessed for a very long time with understanding what are the things that make communities. Like why does one community, take off and another community sort of dies on the vine? And it really comes down to something fascinating and super important, which is to start a community from scratch. You have to start with the most motivated people. And these are the people that are excited to try new things. They like the novelty, but they are also really, really focused on what it is that they want and need in their lives at that moment. And it turns out that more than it is about, oh, you've got to pick your niche, you got to go really narrow. You do actually need to pick a niche and go really narrow. But what I found was that when I would be describing this to people, they would sort of give me blank stares, and they would still come back to me with like, oh, but my niche is like all human beings of planet Earth. So, instead of people and animals, it's just people. And I'm like, okay, that's not helpful. And so what I found is that if I could talk about choosing to serve people or bring people together who are in a transition or navigating a transition, light bulbs would go off. Because it turns out that as human beings, the idea of narrowing a niche is very abstract. And the idea of bringing together people that are navigating or going through a transition to be able to go through that transition successfully together actually makes a lot more sense. And so what is a transition? Well, it's, any point in time where you want to go from point A to point B. So that could be graduating from college and starting your first job. It could be, I don't know, deciding to leave your corporate job and figure out what is next for you, for example, which was the funny thing as we were talking, when we spent some time together in person. So transitions are your best friend because they attract highly motivated people. They are the people who are motivated to join you. They are the people who are motivated to contribute and actually build relationships with other people in the community. They are the people that are going to go out and talk to new people and be so invested in what you're building that they're like bringing new people in. And that's how you create a flywheel.
Yes, let's talk about that flywheel, because you also talk about, as a host, your job is not to teach, right? So this is hard for me as a business coach, right? Really hard, because I'm always wanting to teach people new skills. And I had a member of my community who's now a client in another program say, there's so much there, Deb. There's so much there. It can be a little overwhelming. And I remember you saying that from stage. So let's talk about, creating a community that has the host as the center stage versus the community members. Yeah.
So first of all, it is just a natural human desire to be of value, to be of service. So in a world that we believe today values content above all else, what do we want to offer people to be of value and be of service, especially if we're going to charge them for something? Well, content. That's an obvious thing. Here's where I saw this. It was the early days of COVID, and we had a community join Mighty and launch on Mighty that was targeted at enabling and bringing together working mothers navigating the moment of COVID. And they had brought in a bunch of people out of the publishing industry. So people who had worked at magazines, who had worked at publishers, and they kept showing up saying, but look at how many hours of programming we have. The value that people are going to get from this, these working mothers are going to get from this community and these courses, is all this content, all this programming that we have. And it just hit. I was, sitting at my house for like what felt like 100th day in a row. And I had just eaten, like my 100th day of a chicken gyro from around the corner. And I was just like, that's it. Like a light bulb went off for me. Your desire to show value and show you care in a world of content creation is actually overwhelm and work for your members. That is the fundamental disconnect. And I've been guilty of this as well. So here's kind of the reframe that I would offer, which is the most valuable thing that a creator, or as we call the people who create and grow mighty networks, hosts, because I believe hosting is the skill of the 21st century. What a host does is provide the environment and the framework for people to apply concepts in their lives, to build identity and relationships with other people around that framework. And so it just moving that word from content and programming, which is very much consumption based, to how are they applying a framework, which is much more about the member bringing your concepts into their lives in ways that are productive, helping them navigate those transitions, and ultimately achieving results and transformation that are only possible when you are in community with people who are on the same path. Because the way that you are going to apply a concept in your life is, and if you share that story with other members, now those other members aren't just consuming your videos or your content or reading or whatever. They're also actually, they've got a framework. And this is why I just feel like the term applying and framework is so powerful, because with a framework or the scaffolding, it means all members' stories of applying those concepts are part of the value that you are creating as a host.
I love that reframe.
It also happens to be a lot less work. The difference between, the difference between hosting a party and writing a keynote, I'd rather host a party 85,000. Like I'd rather give people things to do than produce a bunch of content that is a lot more work for me.
Yeah. And you also, you frequently use the analogy of, a host, and you've used the dinner party analogy before. You wouldn't host a dinner party and spend the entire time talking and holding court with all your guests. A great dinner party is when people get to know each other and they get to make new relationships and new connections. And that, so that really opened up my eyes, and I thought I got it, but the challenges in implementing it and doing it successfully. So communities are amazing and give you an opportunity to grow and scale. And also from a monetary perspective, when you put up your people magic chart on, here's how communities are infinitely scalable. Chat a little bit more about the financial aspects of it as well.
So it turns out that community memberships is the world's oldest profession.
No, wait a minute.
The world's oldest profession is being a member of a community and paying for it. When you think about how we all survived in, tribes, and then in towns, cities, we have always, all around the world, had religion. And in almost all cases, those churches, those religions always had the concept of tithing. That is a community membership. And, if times were tough, you might have tithed less, but you still tithed. And that is how we've gotten here. And so it's truly the world's oldest profession to basically build a community and have as part of that community a price tag to it. And that's okay. Only because only the internet was like the first time people were like, community should all be free. It's so amazing. And what we got, unfortunately, was spam, more spam, people behaving pretty poorly. And what you get with a paid community is, number one, that person who is going through a transition is going to spend their money on something. They're going to spend their money on things that they think are going to help them through that transition. They're going to spend their money on all sorts of things related to help me get from point A to point B. And it turns out that a community is the single most effective way to actually navigate a transition. So that membership allows a person to invest their time, energy, and focus because people pay attention to what they pay for. And it turns out they pay more attention to the things they pay more for.
Yeah, I was just going to say that that is so true. And they also pay for curation of the community that they're a part of, right? So they pay to be in the right rooms with people who not only are on the same path as they are, but who have similar pedigree or similar experience or share similar goals. So they pay for that curated community.
They do.
Yeah.
They really do. And we have always paid for that curated community. We have always paid for that curated community. We either, paid taxes to live in a certain place. We have tithed to our churches. We've had membership organizations and fees there. This is not abnormal. And if anything, what it really allows you to do as the host is you also invest in it. So not only like the difference in your ability to create something quality and to really, again, people pay attention to what they pay for. You also will get money from it that you will also pay attention to. So charging something where it's something you take seriously, it's just more energizing. You're going to do a better job. You're going to be able to have more resources. And then your members are going to be higher quality and higher quality with each other because they too are invested in the success of the community, the purpose of the community, the results and transformation everybody is here to get. It's the difference between when you go to an event and you're excited to meet somebody because you have context. You're both there for a reason. You both have that opportunity and what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about this flywheel effect. So communities are great for people in transition. You want to be the host. You don't want to be the one who takes up all the airspace. The goal is to get people to talk with each other. They can be highly profitable when people invest. So what makes communities successful? Because most communities launch with a very small core group of maybe 20 or 30 people to get started. So what is it that the host needs to do to rev that engine to get that? And what are the other steps around the flywheel?
Yeah. So our data is pretty clear on this. If you set it up with clarity, I'll get to what that means in a hot minute. If you set it up with clarity and you get about 30 people, you don't have to do a lot. It's 30 people as kind of the seed of the network. Your founding, if you get 30 founding members and you have just some basic structure in place, which I'll talk about in a sec, you have something that will self-organize where relationships can get made, that people can generate value from, and that you as the host don't have to do a lot of work. Now, it's really interesting. I've seen recently this sort of thread of people who are like, community can't be as easy as, Gina says it is, because community is hard and community is a grind. I'm like, except we have like a lot of data on this. And also you're like on other platforms. So maybe it's your problem, not necessarily our problem. But part of this is that, you do want to pick a platform that is designed to get those 30 members to be talking to each other without you. And so what does a host have to do to create a community that those 30 people can become 60 people, and those 60 people can become 260 people? And so here's the secret. And it's not very secret. When you hear it, you're like, oh, that kind of makes sense. Be for a transition. Be clear in what you are bringing people together. Number one, who are those people? And number two, what are they going to do together? And number three, to achieve which results and which kind of transformation. So I was talking to somebody this morning, super cool community. And when I was like, so what's your big purpose? I call like what I just described. It's like, who do you bring together? What are you going to do together? And towards what set of results and transformation? That's a big purpose. So you have we bring together the people going through a transition to do all the things in your community so that we can, what I think about is like, have your best year ever. So if you are transitioning from a big corporate job or even like a modest corporate job into entrepreneurship, what would your best year ever look like?
Replace my corporate salary, doing work that's more meaningful and having the freedom and flexibility to work how and when I choose.
Yeah. So you've got your best year ever, Deborah. You've got it. So you know who you reach. So check. You know what their best year ever is going to be. Check. And then it's just a matter of three things. Monthly themes, because people love novelty. And a month is roughly the amount of time that people want to sort of have something that like they go deep on. But after about a month, it's like, okay, great talk. Let's go. Like, what are we going to go to next? It doesn't mean that the only thing happening in your community is that monthly theme, but it makes it so much easier for you as a host to be able to focus your, basically you get to have a lot less time and involvement in like, what should we talk about? What am I organizing? You just like, okay, I've got 12 monthly themes. And, we have a Chat GPT plugin that can help you with like brainstorming your 12 months of themes. And then the week before the next month starts, we're filming this on the first day of I say filming, like we're recording this on the first day of a month. And you can imagine unveiling this month's theme. You are introducing novelty to your community. Second thing is a weekly calendar. Many people are tempted to just like post whenever they want because that's sort of what you're supposed to do in social media. You're supposed to be like, oh my God, I just had this amazing thought and I'm going to post it on social media. You can do that in a community, but because the whole idea is how are you connecting people to each other? You've got the monthly theme to attract novelty and like create value in pursuit of that big purpose, in pursuit of the best year ever, the results and transformation that your members want. And then the weekly calendar is there to build a habit. So you are like, if all you do is like every week we have a live stream on Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. or every week we have kind of the big question of the week, or every week we do a member profile story, or every week on the same day at the same time we have a give ask day. And that is the day I put the call out, I send it out as a notification. Everybody gets in their email or over your mobile notifications. You come into the community and it's like, here's my give for the week. Here's my ask for the week. All of those are examples of doing a small number of things every week that are really manageable and sustainable for you as the host. And the goal is you show up at the same time with the same activity every week for a minimum of 4 or 6 weeks. And then you can add to it, you can tweak it, but you're trying to create repetition and habit every week. And then the final third thing is you want your members to start talking to each other. So we've done some interesting things just in terms of like when you go to somebody's profile, showing similarities and what that could look like and what that can mean, custom fields. So the questions that you're asking in your Life After Corporate community are different. Like, where did you work? What are you excited about now? Those are relevant to you. And then we can use AI to also make sure that we surface this to people at the right time in the right ways.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Separately, polls and questions every day or on the days that you don't have your weekly calendar. Polls and questions are not for quote unquote engagement. Polls and questions are so members are meeting each other in the comments. They follow a very specific, very simple, there is, a starting phrase or a starting question, and then, what's the topic? And it's things like, what's the first? Or what's the most recent? Or what is one example of? Things that people can answer in less than 15 seconds brings in engagement, and then they come back as other people are answering it, and you start having some really interesting conversations. So by far, polls and questions have the most comments of anything that we do across the platform. And we even have built in an AI-powered infinite question engine. So you never are and by the way, all based on the purpose of your community. And that is so you never run out of questions.
I love all of this. And the big reason why we chose Mighty Network for Life After Corporate was because of the AI and the technology that you built in. So let's talk about the technology behind the community platform, and where are you going with AI in terms of helping members connect more effectively with each other?
Yeah. So our vision is that every person who shows up to a Mighty Network feels like they have got their own hype squad behind them. So when you join, when you answer some questions so that we can help you build a profile page that just looks spectacular and that you feel good. Because again, if you think about it, when you are confident and you walk into a party and you're sitting up a little bit higher and you're looking around and you're like, oh my God, first of all, I'm having a great hair day and I love my outfit, not to sound superficial, but then also when you feel good, you're more likely to reach out to somebody and be like, hey, Deborah, nice to meet you. I'm Gina. And if we do that for everybody, because AI is there to take the answers to your custom questions, the things we know about you, and start to put together a version of yourself that you feel great about, and then introduce you to people who are excited to meet you because they've also raised their hand and said, this is my ask and it's connected to what your give is. This is all stuff that we can start to do at scale in ways that we could not do 3 years ago. Because it is all tailored to the purpose of your community. It's tailored to your members. And where this is all going is that with AI, we are going to get really, really good at what are the patterns in your unique community to unlock relationships, to introduce people to each other, to nurture those relationships, to help craft and understand what is the right message at the right time with the right set of people that ultimately get you. My joke is what we need to build is software that connects you to the people that you could go meet up with tomorrow in your hometown and get, everything that is needed, all the logistics, all of the, oh my gosh, Deborah, Gina's coming. Oh my gosh, Gina, Deborah's coming. Oh my gosh, Marnie just signed up. This is going to be amazing. I can't believe we're going to have the best event ever. And everybody shows up in the room and then we brick your phone. In a nice way. The point is, it's you're not going to stay on your phone, but you can be fully present there. And then the minute you walk out the door, it's oh my God, Deborah, Gina, wasn't that amazing? And here are the follow-up, and you don't have to do anything. It's not work. It's not hard. You just had an amazing time. There was very low friction in getting there in person with amazing people that like give you energy. And you walk out the door and you've got AI that is like taking care of like all your follow up so that you can just enjoy the connection that just happened. You can just enjoy the things that you learned from the stories, experiences, and ideas of the people that you came together with. You can just enjoy and relax knowing that people are abundant and good people are abundant and relevant people are abundant. And I see in my head, and, you know, I think do a decent job of getting my team excited about building this, like where this is going to go. But if we look out 15 years, we're going to be living in a world where, first of all, we're also going to be alive because disease has been, addressed. Longevity is going to be prolonged because we figured out proteins and ways of making sure that we are all healthier for longer. So we're all going to be like alive and feeling great. We're going to be doing less work. We won't have the same jobs that we have today. We will have people that are native to having all of these things done for them. And so if you fast forward, it's really kind of interesting to think about where, and if you are already in this community of life after corporate and thinking about the kinds of transitions that you've got through, you are ahead of the curve. Because for a lot of people, fast forward to that 2040 view, you're going to have significantly more time that you can choose to spend with synthetic people or real ones. The things that we have found purpose in increasingly over the last 100 years, work, not faith or family or community or connection, we're going to have choices to make. And those choices are, where do we find purpose and how do we spend our time? And so I really look at People Magic and what we are building at Mighty Networks as we are going to take the very best of what is possible with technology and ensure 15 years from now that that future state, when you have a lot of time, is amazing. You are meeting amazing people. You have purpose, you have identity, you have wealth that comes from all of us participating in an abundance of communities, being a part of incredible experiences and moments and learning and intelligence and connection and belonging, and knowing that we all can have abundance because connecting to other people to solve problems and build new amazing things and explore art and creativity and entrepreneurship and all of the things that that means and matters is not only possible, but if we do our jobs right at Mighty, it's expected. It's kind of like Wi-Fi on a plane where it's just like, I'm supposed to have Wi-Fi that's awesome and I don't have it on my plane right now. It's like, we want that to be people's, ability to rely on People Magic for meeting new people, nurturing those relationships, deepening those relationships, creating value for everyone who is in a community, and ultimately, again, achieving results and transformation that, none of us can achieve on our own.
Yeah. I mean, the future is connected and technology
I hope
is
so.
moving.
And I don't just hope so because I'm biased and I want Mighty to be successful. If we are not connected as human beings, we actually have some evidence of what happens. We fight. It's not good. This is not a good thing. So the future has to be connected.
Yes,
by us or somebody else. But we have got to usher in this world where People Magic and people's just love and joy from other people is there, and it's normal, and it's the boring status quo.
Yeah. And I remember back in the 80s, I'm going to date myself now, when cell phones were first coming out, there was a commercial or something where there was a telephone booth in the Australian outback. And the tagline was, now you can reach out and touch anyone.
Love that. I
And,
love that.
just thinking how ubiquitous our phones have become, for better or for worse,
Mm-hmm.
and how we are just social creatures by nature.
Right.
And it was like really only in retrospect that I realized that I built community wherever I went. If I
Right.
joined a network, I would
Right.
create a community within that network because I wanted to have a community of people just like me. So I built communities in other people's communities for over a decade. And it was then that I realized, like, oh, well, I could do this for myself rather than adding value to someone else's community. And it's true that Mighty Networks is fantastic. I've learned so much in this conversation. I know that our listeners are going to be rewinding and taking notes on all of the valuable gems that you dropped. Let's talk about how you build trust in a world where attention is so fragmented right now and things are feeling a little bit shallow. So how are we using communities to really rebuild trust with one another?
Well, I think it's such an interesting question. So, number one is I think we can all give ourselves some grace. I don't think any of us can underestimate the impact of spending basically a year by ourselves. So we spent a year where people, and especially large groups of people, were something that was two-dimensional or even one-dimensional on a screen, and otherwise we were in our little pods. And for some people that meant a group of 8 people, for others that meant a group of 2, for others we were by ourselves. And we were already becoming more and more isolated because as much as there has been this narrative with social media of open and connected is actually not the goal. Like open and connected is like spam and porn and like bad behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Closed and connected is a different story. And I think the thing that's very healthy and very well supported in being healthy. So we were already not great at it. And then we had this, very clear year-long isolation that I just don't think we can give ourselves, we can beat ourselves up about the loneliness epidemic or how bad how bad everybody else is at people. We're all bad at it because we got out of practice. And it turns out being in community requires practice. It requires us to use those muscles. I don't think I'm good at it yet, 5 years after, the start of COVID. But here's what I would say. First of all, it's not about rebuilding trust in communities. It is about making sure that each and every one of us knows what we have to do to show up open to meeting to people. That might be making sure that we went on a walk today, or making sure that we did the things that made it possible for us to show up to other people relaxed, open, feeling decent, or at least vulnerable, to share with other people, and recognizing and appreciating that it is a skill, it is a muscle to be in community with other people, and listening, asking questions, sharing stories, experiences, and ideas, not advice. Advice shuts a conversation down. Or sharing stories, experiences, and ideas expands the conversation. It builds that connection with us. And I at least have found, and this is just me, I don't have, advice on this, as I just said, but if I can show up ready and open to listen and hear and understand, who are people? What's happening here? What am I learning from this experience? Everything just gets more fun and more vibrant and more technicolor. But I think showing ourselves grace, recognizing that it is almost like being an anthropologist, being okay that this is something that we're learning how to be good at, and not even good at, again, for a lot of people, just being good at. And the rewards for that are absolutely incredible. When you can be an amazing member of a community and show up for other people and be able to, this is why I always say give, then ask. And by the way, have you noticed on like LinkedIn and stuff, the gives have started to become these like weird give asks? There's like it's like somebody shows up in my DMs and they're like, amazing news, Gina. I have this event that like I'm giving to you or like this amazing course that I'm giving to you. I'm like, it's a little bit like swag where it's like, thank you for the sweatshirt that advertises you. Like, I'm not like, I'm good. Like, so
Yeah.
really,
And I've probably been guilty of that too. So hopefully you haven't gotten any messages from us.
No, it's, you're fine, but that's inauthentic.
Yeah, it really is.
And everybody kind of knows it, you know, this idea of like a lead magnet is a gift. Like, you know, if it's truly valuable and you're like, hey, I first and foremost, like, what do you need help with? But again, most people are like, are you an executive who's tired? It's like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm good.
This is part of the broken trust because, you know, it's the bait and switch. You know, they'll ask you a question and now people don't trust in giving an answer because they know a pitch is coming next. Or some people don't even wait to ask the question. The pitch comes first. So we could go on and on about bad behavior on LinkedIn and pitch slapping and not really the inauthentic, the desire to connect, but the inauthentic and pitchy way that people are doing it. The question I want to ask you before we wrap up is if Gina could wave her magic wand and have everything fall into place the way you would like, what does the future of Mighty Networks and the future of community within Mighty Networks look like to you?
It's kind of what I described before. You know, a world where people wake up every day and their best friends were made through communities that were easy to join, easy to get integrated into, had people who were stoked to meet them when they showed up, have people that they feel like, oh my gosh, we are on the same path. We are on our hero's journey together. Not to throw that in there, but you know, who doesn't like a Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings? And so to me, it's this beautiful world that we're building in 2040 where, you know, the 100-year-olds are like living like teenagers because it was really easy to meet first of all, everybody's living longer. And it was really easy to meet and make great friends with the people who are similar to you or on the same path or excited about the same things, that young families in this world have time to be there and aren't running around frazzled and like resentful and like the expectations of parenting are sky high, but rather it feels much more like, you know, the ability to be present for your family for long periods of time because our work is entrepreneurial. And then the way I you know, one of my goals is that the kids are all right. You know, instead of, you know, this idea of phones that are enabling this quiet bullying and all of this sort of comparison behavior, which is a rite of passage in many respects, but it's just been amplified and exaggerated. What if instead, you know, kids who have grown up with people magic are actually kinder and like get through the ways that we have to figure out where we fit in the world and actually are just better at making friends, better at conflict resolution, better at solving bigger problems. And the way I sort of think about it is like, what if the kids are actually running the show because they have had AI natively incorporated into their lives? Again, our AI, the things we're talking about, like AI that makes relationships easier and better and more nurtured and more guided in all of these ways that are critically important if we are also spending more and more of our time, especially like younger, in synthetic worlds with synthetic people that have a place and a time, but we also need to make sure we're building software for how we are connecting kids in the right ways, in healthy ways, in ways that they feel secure and bonded to their families and bonded to their friends and bonded to the world around them because they are safe within their communities. And I believe and see a very clear path to software that allows us to do all of these things, no matter how old you are, no matter where you are at in your life. And ideally, no matter sort of where you start. And it's all about how we help you navigate those transitions to this richer, fuller, more technicolor world in 2040. And I would prefer to focus my attention on how do we make that a reality? And how do I recruit anybody who's listening to this to be a part of the solution by being a host, by being comfortable with the uncomfortableness of like, what if I bring people together and no one shows up? That is the thing. Oh, I'll go watch a show, or I'll go like spend all of my time with ChatGPT, or I'll play video games, like, because that fear of human rejection is preventing us from getting to the other side of it and having this amazing, beautiful world that is absolutely within the realm of possibility for us.
Absolutely. It sounds like the future vision of Mighty Networks, in Gina's view, is that technology helps us be better humans.
Yeah. Or It certainly more fun humans. That's how I think. More like fun humans, that are participating in things that are more rewarding and more interesting, and, can go on real life quests together.
I love that. Yes, because the beauty of a truly vibrant online community is that people want to get together offline and have in real life experiences too. Gina, thank you so much. I value your time. I want to respect the time that we have. How can people best get started with Mighty Networks, or at least learn more about people magic and the incredible opportunity to create community, especially in the times that we're in today?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm Gina Bianchini on LinkedIn. I think Gina B on Twitter.
We'll put your social handles in the show notes.
And like start a Mighty Network. So from my perspective, start a Mighty Network, and at least you'll probably hear from me in my emails that I like to send to people. And I do.
You have the best emails. You do fantastic summits. The People Magic Summit was incredible. There's great stories there of how other people have built large and thriving communities that are changing lives. And that opportunity exists for you too, my friends. So it's up to you. How will you leverage the value of the technology inherent in Mighty Networks to build a community of your own and be a good host? And that, I will tell you from my experience, is a growth curve on how to be a great host and allow people the magic of connecting with each other. Gina, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with our listeners today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
That's it for now, my friends. If you enjoyed this episode of Life After Corporate, please be sure to leave us a rating, give us a review on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our show. And stay tuned for the rest of this incredible series on community builders. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening, my friend. If you enjoyed this show, please head over to iTunes and subscribe and leave us a review. And be sure to hop over to the Life After Corporate Facebook group and join other growing entrepreneurs to get weekly tips on how to create more money and meaning doing work you love.